100 foods to eat before you die. I've been traveling and eating all around the world, and here are the 100 foods you need to eat before you die. And these are in no particular order, so add them to your food bucket list. Number 75, Epicurean. I am here at the Crown Sydney Hotel at the Epicurean buffet, and I'm here during Easter, and this is their Easter dinner buffet. Let me show you around. When you first walk in, you are greeted by a ginormous chocolate Easter bunny. And the dessert section is filled with cakes, pastries, flowing chocolate fountains, ice cream, so many different colors and bunnies. And the seafood section is filled with pretty much every crustacean you ever wanted to eat. Local Sydney oysters, there's king crab, 2 types of lobsters, there's spiny lobster, there's slipper lobster, there's giant prawns, clams, mussels, scallops, all arranged beautifully. There's a gorgeous salad section, I'm sure it's wonderful. Then the meats. Roast lamb, lechon kawali, there's steak, there's kangaroo. Of course, there's sushi and sashimi, and this is one of the rare buffets that has scallop sushi. That's always a welcome sight. There's a noodle section, there's an Indian section, there's Chinese food. And there's a second seafood section where it's filled with grilled cheesy oysters and butterflied king prawn. This is one of the most beautiful buffets I have ever seen. And it is definitely the most beautiful buffet I've seen in Australia. Also, this buffet, as soon as it opened, every single table is taken. Let's go eat. Round 1. All right, round 1, tons of seafood. And the seafood here is very unique. First of all, scallop sashimi with a little bit of pepper, onions. You don't ever see a lot of scallop sashimi on buffets. And look at this, cured kingfish, some flower crabs, spiny lobster, slipper lobster, and a whole plate of king crab. Start off, scallop sashimi. This is so awesome. The most tender, succulent scallops, creamy, sweet, and delicate with a little crunch from the peppers and onions. This is so good, so good. I really wanted to try this, the cured kingfish. That is a delicious piece of fish. It's firm and just so buttery. It's so buttery. So these are Sydney rock oysters. From what I understand, most of the seafood, they source it locally around Sydney. So on this buffet, the seafood is gonna be about as fresh as you can get. These oysters are really different than the ones I've had before. So of course, it's a small oyster, and the flavor is incredibly buttery. Buttery with a hint of sweetness and a little bit of brininess. It's a very complex tasting oyster. This is a New Zealand mussel, so it's a big sized mussel. Oh yeah. It's very plump, a little sweet. Not much brininess to it. There's some garlic vinegar. Made the sweetness of the mussels more pronounced. It just goes great with it. I'm trying to keep a checklist of things I want to eat in round 2 or 3 or 4, and so far it's pretty much everything I put in my mouth. Slipper lobster. Oh, look at that. You gotta get all that head and innards with the meat from the body and the tail. And this just comes out in one single swoop. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh, that's good. That lobster is delicate, it's rich, it's sweet, a little bit of brininess. I love that extra umami flavor from the head and body. This is the spiny lobster. Spiny lobster, not as sweet as the Atlantic lobster, but the flavor is so rich. The meat is firm but tender, and I love how they just have raw garlic laying around. Got myself some raw garlic, chase it with that. Growing up, I ate raw garlics and scallions with pretty much everything, and it goes really well with the richness of the lobster. Flower crab, probably the most tender of all the crabs. The meat is flaky. Also, the sweetness is balanced beautifully by that very subtle brininess. The meat is so soft and succulent. There's a lot of work with these crabs, but definitely worth it. This is my favorite, and this is, of course, something you don't see a lot on all-you-can-eat buffets. This is the king, and it will always be the king. Because when it comes to shellfish, ain't nothing gonna be sweeter than this. It's so rich and sweet. Just the seafood section alone of this buffet is such a luxurious dining experience. Really don't need to dip this in anything. Round two, I had to get a few more oysters. Never used to really like oysters before. Started getting into them a couple months ago. I think this is the best one I've had. Also, I don't usually get a lot of cheese or cured meats, but this place has some very unique items. There's some melty camembert, there's some smoky paprika goat cheese. In the cured meat section, there's truffle boar. There's also some capicola and bresaola, and duck liver. There's pickled figs, there's pickled grapes. Also got some honey to go with my hard cheese. Dunk my Gouda in some honey. So wonderful. Smooth, nutty, savory, and sweet. Smoked goat cheese. Oh yeah, a little tart, very, very rich and creamy. And a ton of smoky flavor from the paprika. I've never had a pickled grape before. Whoa, that tastes like a pickle and a grape had a baby. That would go really good with something rich. So this is the cured truffle boar. A lot of fat on this thing. That's delicious. That thing's got a strong truffle flavor. Nice and fatty and smoky. That is amazing. I think this is the capicola. Look at that beautiful fat and spices. Dunk that in some of the melty camembert. This cheese and cured meat section is so good. So in this buffet, people actually go around and bring over little dishes of food items. And this is pork belly with some pickled vegetable. Put the whole thing in your mouth. That's awesome. It's a fatty pork belly on a bit of crispy shallot. And the sauce they used to tie it all together is a little vinegary, a little sweet. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I forgot about my cheese. This is the duck liver with a little bit of jelly on top. Duck butter. What's not to like? Chase it with a pickled fig. I love these pickled fruits. I don't think I've ever had them before. Oh, that pickled fig is the best. Very sweet fig with that little vinegary flavor. Oh, that's so good. This is turning into one of my favorite buffets in the world. And I haven't even got through a third of it yet. Let's keep going. Next stop was at the sushi section. This is a squid salad, tuna sushi, scallop sushi, ocean trout belly. Oh, fatty and so yummy. Look at this squid salad. Chunks of squid with little fish roll on top. This is so good. Tender chunks of squid, a little wasabi in here to balance out the richness, and topiko on top, and seared tuna. How could that not be good? A giant scallop sushi. This is also something you don't see a lot of buffets because scallop is a pricey item. That sweetness level is bordering on ridiculous. And after a few plates of seafood, let's check out the meat section. This plate I'm so excited about. I got 2 king prawns, a roasted eggplant with tahini. I got a couple oyster casino and a couple grilled cheesy oysters. Also, it looks like some lechon barramundi fish, a juicy looking lamb rib, and a piece of kangaroo steak. Oh, also a Yorkshire pudding, a roasted butterflied king prawn. Wow, so such a sweet prawn with all that amazing fire roasted flavor. And this is the head in all its glory. That's just the best. The oysters obviously been sitting under the buffet lamp of death for a while. And they're good. If that just came fresh from the oven, that'd be dynamite. Oh. That is a juicy, tender, fatty lamb rib. Dunk in a little bit of horseradish, that's utter perfection. And I'm so excited for this. Roasted eggplant with tahini. Oh yeah, roasted sweet eggplant covered in that thick, rich tahini. That goes pretty good between the meats. The kangaroo. Whoa, that is a really tender piece of kangaroo. I mean, kangaroo is a lean piece of meat, but that thing pretty much dissolved in my mouth. Also, zero gaminess. Next round, the Chinese food. You gotta check this out. It looks incredible. So first of all, mussels and black bean sauce. I'm eating that over lotus leaf fried rice. Oh yeah. This is absolute perfection. Black bean sauce is one of my favorite seasonings. It goes so well with any sort of meat, seafood. It has such amazing earthiness and umami to the mussels. It's perfect with the mussels. Also, check this out. Braised beef with radish. Every single Chinese dish on this buffet tastes like it came from an authentic Chinese restaurant. I just got some disturbing news. I totally lost track of time. I only have 22 minutes left on this buffet. Dessert. I think a lot of people might have lost track of time because it was a mad dash for the dessert section. This is a pistachio cheesecake. It's just pure light creaminess. That and some vanilla ice cream. Heaven. Fresh strawberries with dark chocolate. Yeah, dessert, spectacular. My last round of food. I got some Peking duck. I didn't roll it as good as I should have, but time is of the essence. It's very good. The pancake's good, the duck is tender. So they have a soy sauce chicken. Well, I love this. And normally buffets, what they don't give you is scallion ginger sauce. And scallion ginger sauce is a very delicious component of a roast chicken. And they absolutely nailed that sauce. Also, there's a noodle soup station. So I got myself a bowl of Taiwanese beef noodle soup, which tastes more like pho. All right, this might be the first thing on this buffet I didn't quite like. The beef is very tender though. Finally, this is a Chinese spare rib. So it's soaked in what I could only imagine as sweet and vinegary sauce. Delicious. All the Chinese dishes, with the exception of this beef noodle soup, the flavors are exceptional. I will give this buffet a solid 9 out of 10. So I guess for dinner, there's only one seating. We got in at 5:30 p.m. and it's 8 o'clock. So 5:30 p.m. to 8, you get 2.5 hours. I imagine you could stay past that time and just eat whatever's on the buffet, but they probably stop putting dishes out at 8 o'clock. But this buffet has pretty much everything you desire. The king crab, the scallops, the oysters, all the seafood are exceptional. The roast meat's delicious. There's exotic meats like kangaroo. There's rabbit, which I didn't get. The Chinese dishes are all delicious. There's Italian food. The cheese and cured meat section's phenomenal. The desserts are fantastic. Service is exceptional. The cost of this buffet is 170 Australian dollars, which is special pricing for Easter weekend, but usually on weekdays it's $130 for dinner, and then 150 on weekends. So at today's exchange rate, on a typical weekend is 97, typical weekday dinner 83. So this buffet, $110. That's a pretty good price for all the stuff I'm getting. I mean, you're talking about king crab, oysters, everything I mentioned before. There's so much food, so many selections, everything tastes good. And 110 is including everything, tax, service, everything. That's what you pay. I always give this example, but I'm pretty sure at Bacchanal, you're gonna be paying with tax and gratuity at least 120. for dinner. This is the best buffet I've had in Australia by far. I will rank this as one of my top 5 buffets in the world. I liked it that much. So if you are ever in Sydney, get a reservation for this place. I highly recommend it. And as always, all the information for this place is listed in my description box below. Thank you all so much for watching. Until we eat again, see you later. I was so preoccupied with the food, but the view from this buffet is just as mesmerizing. So you get a view of the entire Sydney Harbor. You can watch the sunset.